Welcome to WP-Tonic, episode 74. That's okay. Faked you out there. Thought you were going to do a timelines, but this is WP-Tonic. This is episode 74, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is Genesis Framework plugins.
Yeah.
Actually, like Genesis and like Dynamic and like the plugins, learning more, and that's the way I've gone. Jonathan, we've got a lot to talk about today. In 30 minutes.
We've got a long list of plugins for Genesis, haven't we?
And we certainly do.
So I'm going to start off with, it's not exactly purpose-made for Genesis, but it's caused a lot of excitement in the Genesis community, and that's BeaverBuilder, Bill. And it's a page layout builder where you can drag elements around and you don't need to know CSS or PHP. And they provide a free version, which doesn't really do too much. It's pretty much crippled. And then they've got a couple paid. They've got about 3 different paid versions. And it's a bit of a hybrid because a lot of the functionalities in a plugin. But if you want the top product, they provide a theme and a plugin. But that's some ways similar to Cobalt apps, where they've got Dynamic and then they've got Genesis Extender. The Genesis Extender is the plugin, when Dynamic's the theme. So in some ways it's similar to what Cobalt apps does. But a lot of people are using BeaverBuilder with Dynamic, and it's becoming quite popular, Bill.
Right. Now, the pro version is $199. No, the agency is $399.
Yes.
Is that a year license?
Yes.
Oh, that's expensive.
And you can white label it at that price, and you can name the plugin. So it doesn't say BeaverBuilder. You can put your own name on the plugin, or hide the plugin if you wish. So if you're not really interested in that, really the $199 is the one to go with, really. But it's not the cheapest, but it is supposed to be at the present moment the best page building plugin on the market. And like I say, a lot of people are using it with Dynamic as a combination. To move forward on that particular subject, there are some, with my research I did, there are some things that a lot of people would want to do. Not a lot, but there are some things that are a little bit tricky to do with BeaverBuilder with Genesis. And there's another third-party plugin called Genesis Dambuster, which allows you, and I'll put some of those links in the notes in Blab. So the Genesis Dambuster is a kind of third-party plugin that helps with those couple of things that BeaverBuilder struggles with Dynamic. When I was doing the reading, one of them is like a full width picture banner. If you wanted to do a full width, and if you wanted to remove the sidebars from some of the inner pages, it can be a bit tricky. You actually have to know some code. But seemingly, if you purchase this Genesis Dambuster plugin, it deals with the need to know that code. And then from the same company that does the Genesis Dambuster, they do a Genesis Club Pro plugin. And I like to point out all the ones I'm talking about at the present moment are all pro plugins. The Premier, you have to pay for them. This Genesis Club Pro plugin, and I've put a link in with that as well, it deals with about 30 plus things that a lot of people want to do when it comes to customizing a Genesis child theme. And it allows you to do all this without having to know any code. So it's a little bit like, it's from the same company as the Genesis Dambuster. It's basically dealing with a lot of smaller stuff that you would have to go and dig in the code, and it provides a kind of visual method of dealing with those, Bill. So that's that. On to another one that is purely about dealing with customizing Genesis child themes, is Genesis Design Palette Pro. There's a bit of a crossover with what Dynamic's Genesis Extender does. But the only thing I would say is the Genesis Extender from Dynamic, from Cobalt Apps, is more powerful. I think it's a bit more expensive though. But the Genesis Design Palette deals with more like, if you want color changes, global color changes over the whole child theme without you. Obviously, with the child theme, you do get about 4 to 5 different global color changes that you can apply, but this allows you to go into individual elements and change the color. I also think it extends some of the layout options that you normally get with a Genesis child theme. And it was a third-party plugin, but I think a while ago, Studio Press actually bought it, and I think they actually own it, right?
Right. I was reading about, these are all expensive too. None of these are not on the cheap end, these plugins.
No, they're not, are they? None of
them are really expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheapos. None of these are so far. I think either you're gonna, either you're doing work for other people, or you've got a lot of websites and you plan to do a lot of work with a lot of Genesis different themes, or you're going to do a lot of work with Dynamic, then you'll probably look at buying some of these. But these aren't, I don't really think the ones I've just talked about are really suitable for somebody that just doesn't want some odd changes. We'll go on to some free ones now. Styles for Genesis, you get that from the WordPress repository. It's a free. It gives you some of the functionality that you would get with the Genesis Extender from Cobalt Apps, because it allows you to change the CSS that's at the core CSS of your Studio Press child theme, and it gives you a menu, and you can change padding, margin, position, left or right. It gives you a kind of visual screen with drop-down menus. So in some ways that is similar to Genesis Extender, but it's just dealing with the CSS, unlike Genesis Extender from Cobalt Apps, which also allows you to a visual editor of some of the hooks, which are actions and filters. It actually deals with that as well. This only deals with the CSS, but it's free. And then, like I say, I already talked about Genesis Extender, which really works with the dynamic theme. I haven't used either that much, so I've forgotten. I'm not sure if you actually need the Genesis Extender if you got dynamic. What do you reckon?
For using dynamic, you don't need it, but I think it may work with some of the child themes from Genesis, not Genesis, but
I think that's the main difference, folks. I think if you're using the dynamic, you get all these drop-down menus, but they also got these skins that they provide. They provide some pre-developed, and you don't use the other child themes that come from either Studio Press or from third parties. If you're going to use Genesis and a third-party theme, then and you want something that allows you a lot of power without actually knowing a lot of the code, that's when you would buy this Genesis extender from Cobalt Apps. I think that's a bit more clearer, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, that's when you'd use it if you want to use, like, I've got the whole suite from Genesis, all gazillions of child themes.
Yeah.
I just use Dynamic on mine, and I'm really focusing at trying to make the most optimal WordPress site for netcasting.
Yeah,
and it's simple and it's not complex. So
yeah. And then another freebie is Genesis Optimized Social Share, which is a bit of a mouthful. Most Genesis child themes come with a social share widget, but it's not the most fully functioning one. And this just puts it on steroids a bit, gives you a lot more option on icon size, comes with more varied library of icons, and comes with another number of options, and it just kind of puts the original widget on steroids. I would presume a lot of the other kind of social sharing icon plugins in the WordPress depository probably also work with Genesis, but this has been purposely designed to work with Genesis and the child themes. So it's probably something worth looking at, and it's free. The same goes with this other one, Genesis Responsive Slider. There's a number of free sliders in the depository. I don't know how effectively they work with Genesis. A lot of normal plugins will, but there's odd ones that won't. There are some paid sliders that definitely offer a lot more functionality than this one that will work with Genesis. But if you don't want to pay, but some of the better premium sliders, they're not cheap either. They're just under $100 plus. So if you're looking for something that will work and gives, but you don't want to pay for a pretty expensive Premier, it's something worth looking at. So that's Genesis Responsive Slider.
Jonathan, talk about sliders. I think sliders are a thing of a year or two ago. The more modern design now, we're just putting a picture behind and working up, seems to be more acceptable. Plus, sliders cause a lot of problems on people's sites.
Well, they're not the most. I don't know how. It says Genesis Responsive. That's the other thing. Thanks for pointing that out. Actually, the other thing I didn't is that it's responsive, where a lot of the other freer ones, you can have problems. But I think this has been tested.
This looks like a good. Just looking at it and reading through it, looks good. I put it on one of my secondary sites and playing with it.
Yeah.
So
another one that's really interesting is Genesis Layout Extra, and it's a free plugin, and it's from a German guy. If you go to his website, that's Deckerweb, deckerweb.de. He's a German developer. The website's partially in German, partially in English, and he's done this plugin, and it does a lot what Genesis Extender does. It's a kind of hybrid between Genesis Extender from Cobalt Apps and Styles for Genesis. But he's done a ton of plugins for Genesis. When you go to the site, he's got a really long list of pretty good-looking plugins, and most of them are free, Bill.
Do you think that'd have a conflict with Dynamic?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
Only one way to find out is test it on the site.
But he provides a ton of plugins, and like I say, it's a bit the website's half in English and half in German. So I would just look at all that he's providing, but he seems a pretty experienced developer. So are we going for our break, Bill?
Yep, we're on a break. So that means it's time for a commercial, and we have Share the Oils, Northern Nevada. We thank you for support. And of course, WP-Tonic. Go there to see all sorts of great offers from different products. And then finally, netcasting101.com, where you go to find out how to do netcasting, which is both creating the Blab, the YouTube, and then finally to iTunes. Jonathan, back to the show.
Yeah. So another one is Genesis Simple Edits. It's another one that provides a visualization. When you look at Genesis child themes, they give you some choices about where the sidebar moves from left to right. You've got other basic layout changes that you can do by selecting a radio button. This provides more customization of the footer area, byline. It's got a number of in truth, it's very similar in a way to the Genesis Club Pro plugin that I discussed at the beginning, that come from the same people that do the Genesis Dambuster. The difference is it's free. So that's pretty good. Now we go on to another one, which is Genesis Simple Hooks. That at the core, Genesis is hooks, and these hooks you hook actions or filters upon, and it's at the core of how the Genesis framework works on the core of WordPress. Well, this just puts it on steroids a bit and gives you a lot more hooks. So basically, it provides a lot more areas that you can customize. Did I explain that reasonably clearly?
The other thing, too, is really important. This is a very popular plugin. This is one of the most popular plugins that we put up so far. And it's got a high rating, and it's used by a lot of folks. It's been tested, and it was upgraded. It was updated 3 months ago. So that's what I'm always looking at. 90,000 active users, a lot of ratings, and it's one of the more popular ones.
Yeah. Another one is Genesis Simple Sidebars.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it allows you to add multiple widget areas. It gives you, it kind of puts the widget areas, boosts them. One of the things you find with a lot of child themes from Studio Press and from third-party Genesis child theme shops is the home page is highly widgetized. And this kind of sidebars and also can add some widget functionality to the home page. So I don't know how popular that one is.
It's pretty popular. I just looked it up, and I'm dropping all the links on the Blab website. So if you go up on the website, you can find this on Blab.
I would definitely have a look at old DecaWeb and see what he's up to, because he seems to provide almost over 12 to 15 different plugins for different. I would imagine a lot of the things he's dealing with, the Genesis, which one is it? The Genesis Club Pro plugin, but I think a lot of his ones are free. So they're the plugins I've gone through, but now there's also some resources. A really popular site for this dynamic BeaverBuilder combination, which I started to talk about at the beginning, is a site called Dynamic Beaver. It's a Canadian guy that runs it. I forgot his name. I'll put it in the notes. And he provides a lot of videos and posts about he's an active Genesis web developer designer, and he's utilized this combination for quite a while. Well, I say quite a while, it hasn't been out that while, but he's one of the early adopters, and he's got a lot of free materials on there, Bill, about how you utilize these two plugins, right?
Right. I've watched his site. He really he lays it out well. Makes you want to go buy BeaverBuilder.
Yeah, another one, Jonathan Perez, that's been on our round table shows, not recently, but a few months ago, he was on a couple. He runs a company called Surefire Web Services, and he provides a lot of tutorials and videos. I think some of them you have to pay, but they're not very expensive. But he also provides a lot of free advice and tutorials about how to use BeaverBuilder with Genesis. All right. Another one, she's recently been on the show, the Queen of Studio Press, Carrie Deals. She's got over 4 to 5. She's got a lot of free resources on her website. They generally deal with more Genesis kind of questions and tips rather than BeaverBuilder. But she also has got 4 courses on lynda.com from beginner to intermediate developer level. And they're all pretty excellent. So they're a really good resource.
Now, Carrie Dills was not a big supporter of BeaverBuilder, I don't think.
Yeah, it's probably her background, Bill, because she's a hardcore developer and she taught herself, so she doesn't really see. And
dynamic. She likes to put the code in herself or modify it or put the hooks in and just do it themselves with her developer team.
Yeah, I think a lot of people use Dynamic initially, and then it's just allowed them to slowly learn how to do things themselves. Because I think what I've heard is that the dynamic code is it's just providing a visualized method of adapting the filters and actions. So I was told the code it's not doing any weird stuff to the code. With BeaverBuilder, I wouldn't say it was perfect. I don't think if any visual editor like that can produce the kind of code that an experienced individual could produce. But of its breed, I've been told that the code that it does produce is pretty good. And it's pretty... one of the things I was told about it was that you get a lot of these other page builders and the code that they produce is almost unreadable. So if you're the poor person that's hired after, to sort out some insane browsing compatibility problem with some of these other, it's practically impossible to do anything about it, and you have to recode the whole thing yourself. But I've been told with BeaverBuilder the code is reasonably readable by somebody brought in if there is some kind of browser incompatibility. So it's not the kind of nightmare scenario. And that's why a lot of professional developers hate these page builders, because people use them, they get so far, and then there's some browser incompatibility, Bill, and you're called in and the code's just spaghetti, and you're the poor bugger that has to try and do something with it.
Wouldn't you say that basically people get in there and somehow they break the code and that takes the site down? Is that the biggest problem? And what I would do, I just tell the average person is just to go reset it back a day and start over.
No, I mean, there's always, there's always some kind of insane. There's always something. I mean, even when you code it yourself, there's always some incompatibility with Safari or even with Chrome. They're all supposed to be built on the WebKit engine. I think Firefox isn't. They've got their own engine, which is Gecko. But you still find, even with different browser versions for different operating systems, like the Safari browser on the Windows compared to the Mac, actually there will be difference in button size or margin size, only small changes, but small changes can kind of ruin the whole layout. So what a lot of these page builders do is they produce a lot of additional code to deal with these quite annoying differences in browsers. But what happens is a lot of the time they don't work. But so you've got a ton of superfluous code that's not documented, that's all jumbled up. And you go in and you really can't make a head or tail of it. what I was told with BeaverBuilder is the code is a lot more usable by somebody that is experienced, and if there's some problem, you stand some chance of dealing with it.
Okay, so with that, let's go to our last break. Okay, again, another break, and it's pretty simple today. This is one of the last shows, and we're finishing up with 70, what is it? 71, 2, 3, and 4 of Genesis. So just a reminder, go over to WP-Tonic and check into the services available and netcasting101.com. I may go up as early as the 1st. As soon as I go up, the price is going to go double. So from the pre-sale for the course from Netcasting. Also, let's see. You know, another thing, Jonathan, I want to remind folks of the tools that are available. I've got a test site that's ublabcast.com. And anytime you listen to one of these shows, you can go to ublabcast.com. There's not much there. It might load a little slow in the images, but it's a feed of everything that's done in Blab, and it's converted into a podcast. And you can search the titles real easy. So the easiest way to search is by number. So you can put 74, 73, 71, or whatever, and you can put names into, but whatever's in our description will come up really fast on a search. So that's just a couple tools that are available. And it's also a good example of Genesis Dynamic with a limited number of plugins in it. Sidebar, it's only got a handful of plugins, 3 or 4, and it's very streamlined. It does have the plugin that allows Blab to automatically be uploaded after it's produced. It's done in the Blab folks hired the developer who built the plugin. So it works kind of nice.
Should I do my WP-Tonic?
Yeah, go ahead and shoot for WP-Tonic.
All right, folks, WP-Tonic, we do WordPress maintenance. We offer free plans, great flexibility, great value. And if you've also decided to go down the DigitalOcean server road, we offer management of that. So I think we offer a really sweet and attractive package if you're looking for reliable maintenance and small jobs, and you're looking for somebody that might be able to help you with DigitalOcean.
In DigitalOcean, I'm looking for somebody to help me in DigitalOcean. We'll talk afterward. I want to show you something.
Yeah.
I've got 3 different providers. We'll talk about. It's kind of interesting. I'll show you your site. I was doing some heavy digging into those areas last.
That's what you got to do, Bill. But
I should have. You know what though? I should have been doing some other things because I should have been working on the marketing side and my school. But that said, I enjoy doing that other stuff too. Hey, let's finish up. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. And as we head into the first, I guess this is the last show. There won't be another show till next year.
Well, I thought that was what I was going to debate. Are we doing one New Year's Eve?
Let's see. What? Yeah, if we do, we should put it up at New Year's Eve then and put it up early for Sunday. Well, this goes up to Sunday. I don't know. This is technically the last show of the year, isn't it?
Well, New Year's Eve is on the 31st, which is the Thursday.
Right. If we do it,
so you are right. Sorry, Bill, you're totally right. I'm having a brain fart.
So that would be the first of the year. So that's the new show. So here, I'm going to leave you with a couple of forecasts.
All right.
Forecast and WordPress.
He loves his forecast.
Yeah, I like forecasts. I'd like to see how accurate people are.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it'll be interesting. This API, this new API system that's coming in. I think that's going to have a huge effects on WordPress. And I think you're going to see it even really be, I don't know what, it's just the API is going to, what's it called? What's that API?
Restless.
Yeah, that's the big thing. So take a look at that. That's going to be the biggest thing. And monetization, online businesses, things like that, security is going to be really big. The other thing too is HTTPS. I don't quite understand what's happening there, but the secure sockets are going to be changing this year.
I need to. I thought they were, but I think it was Roxanne. Hello, Roxanne.
Hi, Roxanne. Thank you, Roxanne, for the help this year. She's our
thank you very much.
Producer now, doing a good job.
Yeah, she helps. That's much appreciated. And she brought up there was something that they're kind of draw. Who knows? I during the year they were saying, but the couple of sites I run were taking money anyway, so it would just make it just easier to make the whole site HTTPS rather than just bits of it. So because I was doing that, I just made it, but it is a lot of hassle. even now, if you're not taking, to make the site totally HTTPS, if you're not taking any money. Yeah, it's another step, another bit of stuff you got to deal with, another bit of, another little headache you got to deal with.
It doesn't seem overly difficult. We can talk offline. I'm going to show you something on.
You've had a bit of study at it, so I'm here.
And next year, by the way, in January, we're going to try to find. We've already found a few power users of WordPress, and I think we want to look more in January and maybe into February of the power users of WordPress. And those are the people who have taken the WordPress platform and made a lot of money with their business. And the way they've done that, they've learned enough themselves where they've contracted out a lot of parts of it. So that's who we want to talk to, because some of these folks who are doing it, they have to put a lot of trust into a team. So power users of WordPress in January.
Yeah, I've got one coming on, and I'm trying to find a couple other people.
Well, the sex goddess.
Sex goddess dating. She's not. I like to make clear to people that don't get too excited if you're listening. She does a dating site, Vice site, nothing to do with porn. So don't get too excited, folks.
No, the sex boss.
Yeah, sex boss. You made out like she was in the porn industry.
That's what her name is. What can I say? It's a good way to finish at 2:15.
Yeah.
All right. Any last minute things you want to do with your business next year?
Just make some money.
Make some money. You got to focus. You got to focus into the things that make money and sort of let the other ones go off to the side. And that's where you can get sideways in this business. Yeah. And plugins, like all these plugins, you got to really do analysis on what you're getting and how much you want, and it takes time.
It can quickly mount up, can't it?
Yeah, it can. You got to watch it. I bought some stuff that I didn't even use this year, and that's what I'm really careful on now. It's testing ahead of time as much.
Yeah, a lot of people. I won't be too harsh on yourself. Unfortunately, a lot of people have very similar experiences. They go out and they buy tons of plugins. Which is good for the plugin developers, is it?
Yep. And a lot of courses are getting real popular too.
Yeah.
Simple courses.
There we go.
A little light to sound, but that's how we'll finish the year. Maybe I'll have a better sound system on this. That's it.